and our special events team is going to take over in a moment. The president is saying that Charlie Kirk has passed. We are going to hear more on that.
But some political violence in some type of capacity.
Chat, no, I will not be looking up the footage of the shooting. It sounds like it is fucking quite graphic in nature. I mean, apparently he was shot in the neck with blood pouring from the sides. So no, I'm not going to be looking that up. I'm actually trying to do my best right now to be able to find out what happened. This is new news to me as it is to the rest of the world, I'm pretty sure right now. So I want to find out what happened as it is breaking, and simultaneously at the same time avoid having the stream shut down by showing content like that.
He was there. He heard one shot. It came after Kirk was apparently asked, or there was a question at this event, specifically about transgender shooters, according to former Congressman Chaffetz. At that point, he said he did not see blood. He did not see Charlie Kirk getting hit, but he did see Kirk immediately fall backwards when he heard that noise. You've been playing this video here of that crowd dispersing rapidly. Kirk, very well known again in Republican politics, which is why it is not at all surprising, Tom, to see that the president has made a statement about Kirk. Donald Trump knows who Charlie Kirk is. President Trump knows Charlie Kirk. You talk about the Republican convention. That is one of many times that Kirk has delivered speeches, has campaigned on behalf of Republicans, on behalf of conservatives. We also know that the FBI, Director Kash Patel, has posted about this, has talked about this as well, saying that agents are headed to the scene, that they are aware of what happened. These reports here that they are investigating, obviously, and that the FBI stands in full support of that ongoing response. The report of this shooting here has spread like wildfire, Tom, throughout the conservative community, and everybody wants to know how he's doing. We're working on that.
Hallie, stand by for us. We have another bit of news here that we've just gotten in now that NBC News has confirmed. This is our reporter, Michael Cosner, who's reporting this. A suspect is in custody, and police are investigating the shooting at Utah Valley University. Students are alert this afternoon, obviously told to be aware and probably shelter in place. We have a witness now who's joining us by phone. His name is Justin Hickens. He apparently was at the scene of the shooting. Justin, what did you see? What did you hear?
I was about 20 yards away on Charlie's left. I had gotten there probably just a few minutes before noon. There was thousands of people there. Unfortunately, there was no metal detectors. There was security by Charlie, but anybody could have shown up with whatever, unfortunately. And I happened to kind of maneuver my way down close on the side. And the first interaction probably took about 10 minutes. It was a religious-related exchange, and then there was someone who stepped up, ironically, coincidentally, who asked a question about mass shootings. And about 60 to 90 seconds in, we heard a big, loud shot. I saw a bunch of blood come out of Charlie. I saw his body kind of kick back and go limp, and everybody dropped to the ground. And luckily, there were no other bullets sprayed into the crowd because nobody was really able to go anywhere. It was just like a big, open pavilion, amphitheater, outdoor venue. And, lots of screaming, lots of yelling, lots of bodies on top of each other. And after a couple minutes, people got up and started kind of running, getting out of there. There were some gates, some barriers that had been pushed aside and knocked over, and people were able to move. And I started to move quickly, and then kind of realized that I said, I think we're okay. And I kind of stopped walking away, and I kind of turned around, and all of a sudden I saw officers walking with this very elderly gentleman with white hair, and they had him arrested, had him on his knees. He was screaming about, his rights and all that stuff, and they cuffed him and put him away, and about 20, 30 other people just said, yeah, that's the guy. That was the shooter. And people had said that they had seen him there early. He got to the event really early, was kind of walking around, talking to a lot of people, just this elderly gentleman. But that's all I got for you.
Justin, no, that's a lot, and I'm going to keep you on the.
Now starting to pour in from U.S. politicians, Secretary of War. I have to say that sentence out loud. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth I'm surprised I haven't gotten rid of secretary because it makes them feel like insecure as men. I'm surprised it's not like, you know, super epic fucking president of war, Pete Hegseth. Prayers for Charlie Kirk, an incredible Christian, American, and human being. May the healing hand of Jesus Christ be upon him. Attorney General it's Pamela? Oh, I thought it was Pam Bondi. Pamela Bondi. FBI and ATF agents are on the way. Pray for Charlie. House Speaker Mike Johnson, please join us in praying for our good friend, Charlie Kirk. California Governor Gavin Newsom. The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we love you, Charlie Kirk. Praying for you.
Honestly, it was kind of...
Was shot. Was there any first aid?
Because if you see it and you understand what the end result is of this, maybe that makes somebody go like, okay, I don't want that isn't the solution. To the person who's saying,
I mean, if that was the case, I would have said that so many fucking times for so many events that have happened in the United States history. I thought, honestly, after Sandy Hook, that there was absolutely no way in hell that, you know, it's something as horrifying as that shocks the conscience of the nation, that Americans wouldn't go forward and start actually comprehensively putting forward, you know, gun laws and gun restrictions. And it's not even in the sense where, like, you always get that, well, we have to have a debate about this, okay? It's very clear. In the Constitution of the United States, the Second Amendment does have the right to bear arms, and that does give the provisions that allows a well-armed militia to defend against the tyranny of the government, all that kind of shit. And then you're like, okay, but you know what? There's other countries that also have guns. I live in one. I live in Canada. You can go and buy guns. You just need a license to do it. That's the difference. You got to have a gun license federally across the board. No matter where you are in Canada, you got to go take a multi-day course to learn about gun safety, which is not a bad thing. I think people who own guns should know how to use them because they're just weapons of murder. Guns have one utility. When people are like, well, cars are supposed to be used to drive, but they can kill people. True, you're right. Cars can kill people. Guess what you need to drive a car? A license. A license to drive the car, so you can demonstrate that you know how to use the car, because otherwise, yeah, I would assume people have no idea how to drive, getting behind the wheel of a car might just smash into a fucking building. So yeah, you got to know how to drive a car, so you get a license. You have to have an exam. You got to get fucking certified, and then you have to have you know, regular renewals of that license. And so for a tool that is designed for one purpose and one purpose only, all right, you can tell me, I use my gun for many things, sometimes as a hammer, sometimes as a blah blah blah, but it's like it's essentially just a killing tool. That's all it's used. It's used for killing. You can use it for marksmanship, for practicing killing, but you're essentially doing killing simulator when you do that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe you need a license to own a gun. I don't think that's a wild, unreasonable concept. Stills allow you to go out and buy guns. You still get the freedom to own the guns. You still get the freedom to own the bullets, all that kind of shit. But it definitely seems to, in the countries that have implemented federal, across the board, gun license programs, and also restrict certain kinds of firearms, it reduces the amount of mass shootings that occur.
Good that the Democrats are...
Even then, even if it was just like, well, this is irrefutable. This is not any of the groups that they consistently vilify. This is not an immigrant. This is not a trans person. This is not a black person. This is not an indigenous person. This is not basically any visible minority whatsoever. It was not an immigrant. It was not a person from Venezuela. It was not a person from Argentina. It was not a person from fucking any other country that they think is evil. If it was just like, again, this person is like 7th generation American who was born, you know, white guy. He fucking, you know, bleeds fucking red, white, and blue. He's an ex-veteran. He's like, you know, even if it was like everything literally by the books, they're still gonna weaponize it, no matter what. They're still gonna weaponize the entire thing because like that's what Trump is doing right now. Like I said, what happened to Big Balls is not justification for authoritarianism, right? Like, no one still knows what the fuck happened there. It's just like, yeah, at 3 a.m., which is an odd time for a fucking random person to be heading out somewhere and to be trying to pick up drugs, etc., right? If that is what he was doing. But like, you know, that all of a sudden he's beat up by a couple of fucking 14-year-old girls, and that's enough for like MAGA to be like, law and order, disorder, fucking chaos. You know, we need to fucking crack down on our own citizens. again, if Charlie Kirk was just shot and killed, if he in fact doesn't make it through this, you can absolutely bet that Donald Trump is going to weaponize this. The guy is looking for any excuse right now to avoid the incredibly obvious fucking ties to Jeffrey Epstein, the love letters to Jeffrey Epstein, the fucking pedophile poems to Jeffrey Epstein. Like that shit that came out just a couple days ago is so bad. It's so fucking bad. It's so bad that even their spin doctor, like Pam Bondi, wasn't able to really spin it. She's like sitting there and like, so that letter was real, right? We cannot confirm that it was real. Donald Trump is saying that it's not. The signature does not match his, so clearly this is fake news, most likely planted. Did you know that he was an FBI informant? Like, you're like, what? Come on. It's literally his signature. Dude, here's multiple copies of his signature side by side. He wrote the letter, like, you guys, I know this is awkward for all of you. You painted yourself into this pedophile corner where you said that what he had written and everything that he had done is so fucking gross that there's absolutely no way in the world that like this could be true. Turns out it's true. Yes, as everyone who understands how journalism works and how a major newspaper like the Washington Journal, like, they weren't going to risk something like this. But either way, they knew it was true. So that happens. So Donald Trump spends the next couple fucking days basically provoking war with Venezuela. Every other day we're seeing something now where he's just being like, I think Maduro is the leader of a narco cartel that basically gives me the right to be able to just blow up another country, right? That's how it works. I can basically just blow up sovereign nations if I believe that they are narco cartels. Is that the word I have to use? Narco, or maybe narco terrorist? Okay, so I think he's a narco terrorist, leader of the narco terrorists. They're in collaboration, or cahoots, if you will, with the other narco terrorists around the world, and also Hamas, Hezbollah, Tren de Aragua, MS-13. What are some of the other ones that people are really scared of every time they hear it? Where they're like, oh God, the thing, I'm scared now. So we're allowed to just blow that country up, right? Or at least invade it, do something. Anyways, I got my Secretary of War. Sounds pretty badass, right? Yeah, Department of War. That was me. I did that. So the Department of War head basically is going to get out there and he's going to do some war because that's what he's supposed to do. He's the god of war. Yeah, we should change that. Is that copywritten? Either way, go for it, Kratos. Get out there, bomb them, do your shit. And all this is happening, and then now this maybe one of, if not one of the biggest, right-wing political pundits active today in the United States, well known throughout the world. Charlie Kirk is definitely a household brand. If it turns out that he has been shot, assassinated, or killed in some regard, yes, Trump is going to utilize this. Trump is going to utilize this and do terrible fucking things. Like, that's just the reality. That's how he operates, and that's what he does. He is not in any way, shape, or form governing in a way that benefits the people of the United States. If I was an American patriot, nonetheless, I would look towards the president of the United States as a traitor in a lot of ways. Like, not just a serial rapist, not just a pedophile, not just someone trying to cover up the largest, pedophile, but like, if you're just thinking from, like, if you love America and you're an American and you care deeply about your country, everything the man is doing is basically treason or treasonous in that he's handing off all of the fucking benefits of the American way, the hardworking, the blue collar, the working class, to a handful of rich assholes. To fucking giving up all the money and the power and everything to billionaires and to tech bros, and giving up all of the freedoms that Americans were supposed to love so dear to fucking Palantir and AI software and fucking, all this monitoring fucking bullshit. That if you actually think about it and sit down for 2 seconds, yeah, it's weird that he is able to, just by humping an American flag on a regular basis, that's what Donald Trump does, galvanize people and get people excited enough to be like, oh, he loves America. And he loves Christ, apparently. All he's got to do is hold up a Bible and fuck a flag, and just by doing that, people actually buy into this idea that he cares about either. He doesn't give two fucks. You couldn't ask for a better fucking sleeper agent to, basically push a decaying empire off a cliff than Donald fucking Trump. Like, the guy gets in there, basically is doing everything in his power to funnel all of the resources into the hands of fucking the elites. Basically give up all of fucking America to the elites, all the control to a handful of fucking his billionaire buddies, fucking rip off the rest of the people through his fucking cryptocurrency, while simultaneously erode everything that, made the country great in terms of being like an economic superpower. And so all of this is fucking happening simultaneously. You have the assassination of one of his biggest cheerleaders and advocates, not dead, but shot right? As of right now, it's not confirmed.
No violent encounters before. So until it happens at one time, the first time it happens, everyone's shocked. But now I think it's really going to change the dynamic of everybody speaking that has political connotations of security for it. And it's really going to be a challenge because an open event like this is tough for the Secret Service, and that's all they do. And they have plenty of people to do it.
I did want to ask you this.
Tragic set of circumstances involving this powerful, influential, and therefore controversial young figure. Charlie Kirk has been on the scene for a number of years. He has moved from being just a voice in the conservative movement to being at the forefront, driving interest and attention, especially among young men, to the MAGA movement, to President Trump. And so much of that is the story.
And by the way, like, make no mistake, the right weaponized this stuff before a single fucking thing is known. Here is Elon Musk, richest human being on the planet, who fucking runs one of the biggest social media sites, saying the left is the party of murder. We have absolutely no knowledge as to what happened yet. Charlie Kirk hasn't even been pronounced dead. Hasn't even been pronounced dead at this point. Like, he literally just tweeted that out. For everyone who's just like, you know, oh, you know, you gotta fucking be careful because blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is the double standard in place, just so everyone's aware. And I agree that, like, it really sucks, but if you happen to be a leftist, or you happen to be someone who's LGBTQ+, or you happen to be someone who's part of a visible minority group in the United States, you do have to watch what you're posting right now, especially if your social media account is directly tied to who you are, because the United States is already cracking down on people who don't speak English to their liking, who maybe sound a little Spanish, who maybe look a little brown skinned to them. That's enough for them right now to fucking knock on the door and kick it in and fucking have you arrested by ICE agents. So yeah, you do have to be careful, without a question. But on the other end, like, this is why it's like, but do the right wait? Do the right care? Do the right spend a single fucking second of their day being like, we should probably wait until we know all the details before we make wild speculations, because at the end of the day, the motives are completely unknown. We don't know what happened, and the person who was shot hasn't even been pronounced dead yet. But no, they're gonna go right there. The left is the party of murder. I'm sure if I went into fucking Laura Loomer's account or fucking Libs of TikTok, all of them would be like, we suspect the shooter is trans, we suspect the shooter is Muslim, this has to be the work of fucking Antifa, look at the fucking, you know, the violence, this is what the left creates. And then, like, in 24 hours or 48 hours, if it comes out that this person happened to be a Christian nationalist, MAGA fucking Trump voter, you know, who thought Charlie Kirk wasn't right-wing enough, who fucking thought Charlie Kirk blah, 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 for whatever reason, doesn't matter. Narrative was set. You know, doesn't matter at all. They've already gone as far as fucking, you know, establishing something that's going to get enough people to commit more acts of murder in their name, to commit more fucking violence.
This is also important. The school is now saying there is no suspect in custody after they
Well, I mean, there is certainly a ton of speculation happening right now, not to mention just political opportunists and ghouls. Like I was saying earlier, like Laura Loomer, obviously one of the first people to be like, yeah, I'm going to fucking utilize this situation before any information is known, and we don't even know if he's dead yet, so the body's not even fucking cold. But yeah, Laura Loomer, in the past, not too long ago, by the way, put this out. I don't want to ever hear Charlie Kirk claim he is pro-Trump ever again. After this weekend, I'd say he's revealed himself as a political opportunist, and I have a front row seat to witness the mental gymnastics these last 10 years. Lately, Charlie has decided to behave like a charlatan, claiming to be pro-Trump one day while he stabs Trump in the back the next. Turning Point USA was only able to thrive thanks to the generosity of President Trump. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, if this is true, and I pray that it's not, but if it happens to be true, you know, we have to use this as an opportunity to talk about the violence of Antifa and the violence of the left and the rhetoric of the left and all this fucking kind of shit. Like, they believe in nothing. They don't care. Every single one of them is a political opportunist, you know? Like, I'll be totally honest with you. There's like like, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who wasn't genuinely affected in their like fucking, you know, the bottom of their heart on the left the day that Michael Brooks passed. And like every single person was beside themselves. Even people who had never had a conversation with him or met him, like on some degree, you know, you could just feel that there was like a lot of love that was happening. It wasn't people scrambling the second before we actually knew anything that had happened to be like, how can I fucking weaponize this? How can I fucking, you know, exploit this right away? But with Laura Loomer, shameless. Absolutely shameless.
They are praying for Charlie Kirk. And this is stunning for so many reasons, but yet another political assassination in America.
Our nation's history has been stained by the blood of assassinations, generation by generation. Infrequent, and yet when it happens, it is obviously a wrenching issue that often brings people across the political spectrum together. Charlie Kirk was a provocateur. He was someone who was fully engaged in all the modern tools of how you talk about politics and ideas in the United States. He did challenge his sort of political adversaries and those who were new to politics or those interested in politics to debate him. That was a core part of his political identity. He worked aggressively to galvanize young supporters, especially young white men, in the column for Donald Trump as a candidate and then returning to the White House. His access as a young man, 31 years old, to the president himself, the vice president, put him in an extraordinary category of the modern political influencer. Perhaps at no time in our country have we had someone who could come through not holding elective office, not having the traditional pathway, and yet carved out a voice and identity that, of course, brought many people along to his views, but also, because of the nature of politics, there were many who vigorously opposed his ideas, many traditional ideas, ideas that were often challenging to the political, cultural divides that are in the United States. Also notable, Tom, is that it is incredibly rare that the President of the United States would make a death announcement like this. Typically, we learn from law enforcement. We do so after we know all family members have been notified. This speaks to the direct personal relationship between...
Yeah, and how close they are, which is why I keep saying that, like, you know, if anyone, like, people were like, Lance, you're going to do a crab dance? I'm not going to be doing anything that's going to get me fucking banned off the platform just to entertain people in chat right now. But the second thing is, this scares me because I can see already the road that this is headed down. This is going to be weaponized and utilized by Trump, a man who just days ago was embroiled in the middle of a fucking pedophile scandal and was looking for anything that he could utilize to now try and continue his authoritarian crackdown on the United States. Like, he has been using things as small as big balls getting beat up when he was trying to fucking most likely pick up drugs at 3 a.m. So what do you think is going to happen now? What do you think is going to happen now that Charlie Kirk was just assassinated, you know? And again, while nothing is known about the shooters at large, just so we're clear, as of right now, the shooter is 100% at large. No, like all the video footage you've seen, the person of interest has been released according to, you know, CBS and BBC. So no one knows who exactly was responsible for this yet. But if the person who is caught ends up being, again, white, Christian, Republican, MAGA supporter, not an immigrant, 7th generation American, all that kind of stuff, doesn't matter. Like, already Elon Musk, Laura Loomer, all these major accounts, they're already promoting a narrative that this was leftist promoted violence, or at the very least, this is because the left had been promoting violence, all that kind of stuff. And it's just not true. Right? Like, there's an overwhelming amount of people on the left right now who are saying, hey, by the way, you need to get out, you need to arm yourselves, and you need to take down your political enemy. No, that's not coming out of the left. That is coming out of the right. Like, the right are the ones who are consistently promoting political violence, but they're also weaponizing political violence. The moment something like this happens, immediately, like, again, before the bodies are even cold, Laura Loomer is already being like, how can I exploit this? How can I utilize this? How can I weaponize this? How can I use this to my advantage kind of shit?
What a remarkable and tragic moment in our political life, that someone who engaged, exercised his democratic rights, both encouraged and provoked those to share ideas, and violence has apparently taken his life, according to President Trump. Tom?
Yeah, you know, Kelly, we have covered politics, you and I, for a while now, and I don't know if we have seen, as you described it, a season of political violence like this, starting in Butler with the assassination attempt on President Trump that came so very close, just inches away, as we all saw in the photos and the video, and as the president has described, a second assassination attempt on his life. What happened just recently in Minnesota with those lawmakers assassinated literally on their front doorstep. And now you have Charlie Kirk, who was never elected, never held office, a political activist, a young man, now shot in cold blood in front of a very friendly crowd from the eyewitnesses we have spoken to. In a very sick type of irony, Charlie's group was called Turning Point because he thought there was a turning point now in politics with President Trump and where the Republican Party had gone. And Kelly, you wonder if now in his death, there may be a turning.
He's so hated in America, yeah, but I mean, it's fucking mainstream media. Do you think they're going to use this as an opportunity to be like, all right, so as of like just now, we just discovered that he's dead. So what's the narrative here? Well, we should probably talk about things like gun safety, gun control, the fact that he often vilified, minorities, immigrants, trans people, stuff like that. In fact, he was in the middle of a speech trying to talk about how there's an epidemic of trans shooters and mass shooters being trans, all that kind of stuff, which verifiably is just simply not true. I mean, if you look at the statistics and we were looking at the data, it turns out that there's actually probably been about 4 shooters who were mass shooters who were in fact trans, making the majority, 99.99% of all the mass shooters cis. In fact, you are disproportionately going to be less likely to commit a mass shooting if you are trans than if you are cis. You are more likely to commit a mass shooting if you are a cis person than a trans person. So to vilify trans people for mass shootings is actually really, really dangerous, considering that this is already a minority group that has a lot of anger directed towards them. They already have really hard lives, so it's really, really fucked up that people would do that. Like, no, it's not going to be any of that kind of shit. It's going to be like, oh, okay, instantly, all right, we need to tell the good things. We need to talk about how he was controversial, he was divisive, certainly. At this moment in time, he was known for wanting conversations, debates, reaching students on college campuses. Like, of course, that's the shit that you're going to be hearing, even on liberal outlets, right? And even, like, calling card of a lot of liberal people right now. You're probably going to see a lot of liberal pundits coming out being like, while I may have disagreed with a lot of his opinions and beliefs, I am deeply, deeply saddened and hurt and shocked to my core of what just happened. And again, I do not condone violence. I do not want my, political enemies to be assassinated. I'm not for capital punishment. I don't endorse any of that. I think it's wrong, and I think in any form it's going to be wrong. That's not a spicy take, but I'm not using any of my empathy for Charlie fucking Kirk. Are you kidding me? No, 0%. Again, this is a day where I woke up. The first headline I saw was 41 fucking people killed in Gaza, half of them children, 3 of whom had starved to death. This is a day where for the past fucking all week I've been hearing non-stop right-wing accounts consistently trying to be like, hey, by the way, here's a murder that we're going to politicize. The murder of a Ukrainian woman on a bus by a black man, we're going to now use and politicize to make you all afraid and scared of the potential violence that comes at the hands of scary black men. Not at all trying to take into account, the fact that the family of the woman who was murdered has specifically asked not to continuously show the footage of her murder, which is, like, obviously horrifying and gruesome and something that no single person who sees it is going to be on the other side of. You're not going to sit there and be like, wow. But, like, is this an opportunity to now vilify every single black person in the United States as a potential murderer, every single black man as a violent criminal? This is the old-timey racism that has been done since fucking the days of slavery, and yet we're still doing it today, where it's like, yeah, this was a horrifying event that happened because a person who had mental illness, who was schizophrenic, committed an act of violence, and now it is being weaponized against the wishes of the family, I might add, for political reasons by multiple different right-wingers, so much so that they're trying to continuously distract everybody from the reality that if you want to talk about violence towards women, the president of the United States is accused by multiple women of raping them. Not to mention he has love letters to Jeffrey Epstein, a man who was committing vast acts of violence towards girls, towards children. Like, these are horrifying monsters, but it's continuously a distraction. If you want to bring attention to violence towards women, especially physical or sexual violence towards women, you should bring up the reality that the majority of women who have violence committed to them are committed by people they know. This is what the statistics teaches us. This is what the reality in the situation is. The majority of women who experience sexual violence and physical violence experience sexual and physical violence at the hands of people known to them. Bring attention to that fact. Let more people know. Spread that to spread awareness that, yes, women suffer physical and sexual violence, and oftentimes it is people that are known to them. That is why when people are trying to say buy weapons, there should be background checks on those people, and there should be authorizations signed off by their ex-partners and ex-spouses and stuff like that, so those people can potentially commit violence against women. Not let's take something horrifying and something tragic and then let's weaponize it, and then let's take it and then immediately twist the entire thing into like, hey, did you know that this is really scary footage? Yeah, it's really scary footage. Who amongst us wouldn't be terrified if some random person came up to us and started stabbing us? That's like everyone's greatest fear. But that's an anomaly. That's not often the case. It's very rare that not only does it happen between a black person to a white person or a white person to a black person, often it is white on white crime that are the average amount of people who commit violence to each other or murder to each other, or black on black crime, where it's the amount of people who commit violence to each other or murder each other. And when it happens, it's oftentimes, if a woman is suffering violent acts, sexual violence of any kind, it is people who were known to her more often than not. It is much more rare where it is just a random stranger on a random bus who randomly attacks another person. So again, this shit is weaponized instantaneously by the right, and they don't care. They don't care about keeping women safe. They don't care about protecting women. They don't care about reducing violence. In the case of an assassination of a political pundit, in this case it was Charlie Kirk. He was assassinated today. He was shot in the fucking neck and killed. They don't care about reducing the amount of people who could potentially die from violent acts like this. Like right now would be an opportunity where it's like, holy shit, that horrifies me. I'm shocked to my core. I was a massive Charlie Kirk fan, or I was a massive Charlie Kirk fucking, even if I didn't agree with all those political opinions, I still respected the guy or something like that. Then if that was you, if that's where you situate yourself, wouldn't you now want to look at how do we reduce gun violence in the United States? How do we reduce the amount of possible political assassinations? How do we reduce... There's very clear courses towards this. There's very clear demonstratable data. You have a country right beside you where I live, Canada, where we do not have the same level of mass shootings. We don't have the same level of gun violence. We are certainly comparable in terms of, you know, based on the ratio of the population, the amount of people. If we compare that, if you reduce the statistics, like, yes, Canada's 40 million, y'all are like 330 million. But if, again, you start looking at the data, there are very clear examples of countries that operate, that have similar economies, that have similar economic outputs, that have similar GDPs, that have similar rates of, say, criminals, recidivism, violent crime, stuff like that. But where is the X factor and what changes the difference between these two countries? One happens to have the requirement for every single person across the board nationally, from end to end in Canada, to have a gun license if you want to be able to purchase firearms. And to be able to get a gun license to purchase firearms in Canada, you have to undergo a course. You have to take a multiple day course where you learn about gun safety. Once you've taken that course and you've passed, you get a gun license. Once you have a gun license, that license has to be renewed. To be able to buy a firearm, you have to be signed off by ex-spouses, so that if you happen to be someone who has a history of violence in your past, if you have a criminal record, if you have a history of schizophrenia and stuff like that, or if you were married at any point and you now have, and you're divorced and you had an ex-wife, if you had an ex-partner, stuff like that, they have to be able to sign off on you getting a firearm because you present no clear present danger to their well-being. It's like, oh yeah, we left on great terms, it was very amicable, obviously, I don't think that he's in any way going to commit violence towards me. Yes, I sign off, here it is, you can now buy your gun license. Like, these things can prevent the amount of gun deaths that occur. So if this is something you care about, if Charlie Kirk's death as a Republican or a right-winger or someone who cares about what he used to talk about really hurt you, then that's the thing you should be looking into. Not immediately, like Elon Musk did, like Laura Loomer did, like Graham Linehan did, talk about leftist violence. Like, just exploit him. These people don't care about each other. They exploit each other instantaneously. They didn't even know that he was dead at the time that they were tweeting that shit. And immediately they're like, this is yet another example of far extremist, radical leftist violence out of control. The left wants you dead. They shot him because they couldn't debate him. All this kind of shit. And it's like, you know nothing yet. None of you know a thing about the reason why Charlie Kirk was just assassinated. We don't know who the shooter was at the time of me saying this live right now. We don't know why he was shot. We don't know the reasons behind it. We don't know the political motivation for it. We don't know anything whatsoever. The shooter is at large, but they don't care. They don't respect him. They're not waiting for the fucking... They didn't even know he was dead. They didn't even wait to find that out. They don't care. To them, it's just yet another political opportunity. How can I exploit this? Instantly online. Oh, yeah, the leftist radical Antifa fucking blah, blah, blah. Oh, this happens to be this. I speculate that. How can I utilize this? They don't give a fuck.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs, that's patreon.com/theserfs,